สวัสดีครับสบายดีไหมวันนี้ร้อนมาพรุ่งนี้ฝนตกไม่มีลม Nice to see you all. Just saying to you, hello, how are you? Today very hot, about 39 today. Not good for a fat bastard like me. And I'm saying tomorrow we have rain, but I now have umbrella. Today's my birthday. Slowly deteriorating into a old man. But never mind, there you go, it happens to us all, unless you're a lady of course. But so yeah, because it's my birthday I thought I'd do it early. My little blog for you all, just telling you all the latest news and what have you. I've just come back from town on the motorbike, and it's about 7 or 8 miles I suppose into the centre of town, and I probably almost got killed about 3 times. Let's take my glasses off. Yeah, probably almost got killed about 3 times. I was driving along one of the little country lanes before we get onto the main road, and there was a guy coming towards me in a truck. I could see he was on the phone and he was on my side of the road. They drive on the same side of the road here, and that's about where the similarity ends, you know, as far as driving skills go, and or anything to do with driving. But anyway, this guy come along, literally run me off the road. I almost ended up in a fence. So yeah, bad. Driving in Thailand, you really do take your life in your hands. It is just terrible driving here, absolutely terrible. The Thais can be such lovely people and so caring and look after their family and love their family. The second they get behind the wheel of the car, that all changes. They want to kill everyone. I don't know whether you know, the population in Thailand and England is about the same, 66, 67 million, something like that, about the same. The country is probably about the same size. Thailand may be slightly longer, but a lot of that's like a little thin squiggly bit. But I should think the square meterage is probably pretty much the same. And the roads aren't too bad there, and the motorways are probably about 80% of the ones in England as far as, you know, smoothness goes and what have you. But they're not bad, you know, you can't really complain about the motorways. Some of the rural roads can be a bit shitty. Few holes in the road, which they call I forget what it's called now. I can't remember now. Oh, I'll remember in a minute. But yeah, you do take your life in your hand. But just to give you an idea of what the figures are of sort of like road accidents and deaths and what have you. In Thailand, last year, this is just 1 year, over 24,000 people were killed on the road. 24,000. Just to give you a comparison, in England, same numbers. I think it was something like 1,850 or 2,000. It was something along those lines. So Thailand's 24,000 and England is, say, 2,000. So 12 times higher. But those figures, 24,000, they don't include the ones that die in hospital maybe 2 weeks later. Those figures are based on people that are like dead on the spot. So if you get taken to hospital and you die 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, those figures don't get included. So you could probably add another 10% on top of those figures. You know, you're probably looking around about 26,000 die on the roads. And I believe that something like 73% of those are motorbikes. They're just like not a care in the world. You know, they'll drive along doing texting on their phone, driving on the wrong side of the road. You'll be driving along and you see there's a left-hand turn. They'll pull out and start driving towards you. So you don't know which way they're going to go. You know, you're going along at maybe 50, 60 miles an hour, which doesn't seem fast, but if you come off a motorbike at that speed, you're really going to hurt yourself if you don't kill yourself. And you don't know which way they're going to go. And another thing they do they'll be driving along, and of course they don't indicate. They wouldn't give you that luxury to actually indicate before they turn, but then they'll turn left. But they all have this habit of stopping halfway round the corner, so their tail end is like sticking out. So you're driving along, and one minute you don't even know they're going to turn left until they start doing it. They turn and then stop. So you're sort of on your motorbike, so you have to like brake hard or pull out, into the faster traffic. It's very scary sometimes. Mind you, I can see why sometimes they do stop. It's because the number of times that I've turned left into a side turning, and you've got a car or motorbike or whatever driving up the wrong side of the road because they think it'd be quicker. Why should they wait in the queue, wait to pull out? So they just drive up the outside. And I'm not being funny, but probably 50% of the time you turn left into a side turning, there's somebody coming up the wrong side of the road. But it's scary, isn't it, really? Sort of that many people killed in 1 year. It just seems like a number, but I'll put it into perspective for you. That is, if you base a jumbo jet in carrying, say, 620 people, that would be like 39, 40 jumbo jets crashing in 1 year and killing everybody. Imagine if that happened in England. There'd be like an uproar. But I was reading something the other day about the Thai government. They said they do try things, they do try different things to people to drive better, and they said at the end of the day they don't care. Nobody cares. It's like, oh well, it's not my problem. It's not my problem. It's only their problem when their family gets killed, and then they jump about all over the place and go mad, and but nobody changes their driving skill. Another thing, you'd be driving down a motorway, it's busy motorway, maybe doing 70, 80 miles an hour, and the car behind you has just got to get in front of you. At any cost whatsoever, he has to be in front of you. He can't sit behind you. He's not going to get anywhere, but he's got to get in front of you. So he'll risk his life, anyone that's in his car, and anybody that he might hit. So he could be taking out somebody's mother, somebody's father, grandmother, kids, just because he has to be in front of you. That's the way they think here. That's the way they drive. And the motorbikes, well, it's like it's like a circus. It's unbelievable the things they do on the motorbikes. You see kids of 9 and 10 driving motorbikes. The thing is, a lot of people here haven't got a driving licence, or backup key as it's called here, backup key. But a lot of people haven't got a driving licence. So obviously if they've got no driving licence, they've never learnt the highway code. So they just do what they want. They just think if there's a space, if they go up the wrong side of the road, it doesn't matter. They just do it, and that's why so many people get killed. I've never seen so many accidents in all my life as I have since I've lived here. I've seen some horrendous, horrible accidents, young people being killed. Actually seen it happen, and it's heartbreaking. I remember seeing this young girl when I was in Pattaya. This young girl, about 17 or 18, she was beautiful. And the road had suddenly, we were driving along, and all of a sudden there was lots of traffic, and I guess there'd been an accident. And we filed past this accident. This girl, young girl, crashed on her motorbike, lying on her back, all her head caved in, her brain splattered all over the road, and her hair was all like sprayed out like peacock feathers almost, and she was a beautiful young girl, and she's just lying there dead in the road, and the police don't do anything. They don't go over and try and help them. They just stand there, and they're more interested in just sort of like moving the traffic away. Nobody goes to cover her up or try and help her or whatever. I remember that day, because earlier in the day I'd seen a guy. He worked for the internet people, and they have big like sort of telegraph poles here, and they have like the internet cable, and above that the electric cable. Well, I was driving along, and all of a sudden I see this great big flash sort of in the sky, well, not in the sky, like in the, you know, in my eye line, across the other side of the road. I thought, what the fucking hell was that? So I stopped the car, and I see a few people, and I run over, and this man, he was an internet lad, about 19, 20 years old. He'd climbed the pole on their bamboo ladders. They're all you know, no health and safety sort of involved. And he was repairing the internet cables, but he'd managed to catch his head on the electric cables just above it, and it literally burst into flames and fell off his bamboo ladder and fell to the ground. And when I got there, he's laying on the ground on fire. His top half of his body was on fire, which quickly went out. But I don't know if any of you have ever seen that series, World at War, when you see these like burnt bodies, you know, these burnt bodies that have come out of a tank, and that's what he looked like. But he was still moving a bit, and somebody said they'd called the ambulance. But all that happens is everybody stands around just taking pictures of him. So in the morning I'd seen this guy sort of blow himself up, and then later on in the afternoon I'd seen this young girl kill herself on a motorbike. But nobody does anything. Life's very cheap here, you know, very cheap. About 20 baht actually, which is about 50 pence. But yeah, so that's driving in Thailand, you know, sort of take your life in your hands and hope for the best. But I've just come back and I've just been moaning to me mate, saying to her, oh, this bloke just tried to kill me, run me off the road, and then somebody else just cut in front of me. As a motorbike, you don't exist on the road. If a car sees you, you don't count. You're not traffic as far as they're concerned. They'll pull out on you, like, so you have to be so careful, you know. So don't ever be surprised if you get a message that I've been like turned into hamburgers, you know, because somebody's pulled out on me or done something. You know, you have to be careful, you know. Use your mirrors and what have you. But I remember when Mimi learnt to drive, I taught her, and there was this great big car park in Pattaya, and lots of people used to use it. But anyway, I taught her, and then I took her on the road, and she was quite a slow learner, but careful, very cautious. And I taught her to use her mirrors. Use your mirror. See what's behind you. See what's around you. Don't forget what's behind you, you know, because if you go and pull out, if there's a truck coming down, you're wiped out. Well, before she took her test, we thought it'd be a good idea if she booked in and she had 10 lessons with a proper driving school company, you know. And I think she had 5 in one day and 5 the next day. It was like a block of 5 lessons, you know. Well, on the first day, I think the first 2 hours, she told me the driving instructor was just trying to get into her pants for the first 2 hours. But one of the things he said to her was, oh, don't worry about the mirror. Don't worry, nobody's interested in the rear view mirror. And I said, what, he said that to you? She said, yeah. And I said, what did you do? She said, well, he took me to this car park. And I thought, oh yeah, did he? She said, yeah, he got out, sat on a wall, just played with his phone, while he just said to me, oh, just practice your parking. Drive round, practice reverse parking. And she said he wasn't even watching her. He was too busy playing on his phone. And the next day he did exactly the same. You know, and she did actually pass it first time, but the test is so simple, you know. You do an eye test, a colourblind test, a reaction test, and then you just drive around. There's got this little area, it looks like a car park, and you just drive around the block, park the car, do one parallel park, and that's it. Mind you, if you wanted a good funny day out, go to the driving centre and watch the Thais do their parallel parking. Not got a Scooby. They haven't got a clue. Haven't got a clue, you know. I said to you the other day, Mel, I just want you to say hello, because I tell everybody in England about your new nose.
Yeah.
So come and just...
Hello, everybody.
Just sit down for 1 second. She has a nice new nose now.
No!
I did say to her that I get pliers and I can do it, save her lots of money, but she said, no, Dad, No, no one. Maybe. Very good now. She's very beautiful. She's got to go work. She's got to go work now. At the moment, she's working in a restaurant, and it's like a buffet restaurant here. It's like where they put like a hot plate on the table. And you sort of cook your own food. They bring it along, and you sort of cook it on charcoals in the middle of the table. But bless her, she starts about 11 in the morning and finishes about 11 at night, and for that she gets 300 baht, which is about £7 for all those hours. £7. If she does overtime, she gets 33 baht per hour, and 33 baht is like about 80 pence. So that's the wages in Thailand, you know, for kids, you know. And she comes home and she's so tired. She gets home like a 11:30 at night. Absolutely, you know what the young kids are like. With Mill, she's a brain box. She's not a sort of a physical worker. She's someone who's going to do very well with her brain, computer studies and all that sort of thing she does. But yeah, so her little nose there cost her 11,000 baht, which is about 120 quid, something like that. 120, 130 pound, and she's very pleased with it. Anyway, just changing the subject, we had a bit of fun the other day. I was looking out the window and this man came into our front garden, shouting and screaming, looking for Mimi's auntie. And he was all, I thought, oh God, it's one of the village pissheads, you know. Obviously had a skinful, because they do like to drink their old methylated spirits, which they call Thai whiskey. And he come in shouting and screaming, saw Mimi's mum, who's living in the house next door at the moment, and was shouting at her, and it turns out he was looking for his other sister. Now it's Mimi's mum's brother. He was a monk up to a few months ago in near Pattaya. But he's given all that up now, and he's come to live here, and he's having a house built, but he's got no money, and he was trying to find his sister because he wanted money off her so he could go and buy whiskey, but he was obviously angry that he couldn't find her. Anyway, he was shouting and screaming, and Mimi and I ran out to the back, and in this time he'd picked up a great big stick, and he was bagging it right next door to Mimi's mum. Well, Mimi doesn't put up with that sort of thing. She don't put up with shit from anybody. So she went running over, and I thought he was going to hit her, so I got in between, and we've got like a table and chairs in our back, and he sort of banged a stick sort of thing on the thing and was shouting and screaming, and I just stood in between them. And I thought, well, I'm not going to attack him because I'm a Phalang, I'll always be in the wrong, you know. You know, if he stabbed me in the chest and I bled on the floor, I would be in the wrong, you know, so I've got to be a bit careful how I deal with things, you know, because you can be seen to, they'll always go on the side of the Thai, always. So I've just got to be careful, but I just wanted to protect them. In the end, Mimi just told him to go sling his hook in her way, and she's got quite a good way of saying it. And there was a bit of arguing and shouting going on, and that was it, because he wanted money for whiskey. No, it's not his money. You know, he just wanted to take money off her so he could go and buy whiskey and get it. And this is a monk, or an ex-monk, you know. Mind you, a lot of these monks are bad men, some of them, you know. We had one come here and bless the house once, and he looked like a bloody bandolero. He had like a chain round his neck and with about 20 Buddha sort of things hanging off it, which looked like a sort of bandolero of bullets, you know, round it. And some of them looked right hard cases, you know. But yeah, this guy was mad, absolutely off his trolley. Anyway, what else has happened? Stepped out. There's all horrible sort of creatures about in Thailand, you know, snakes, and I don't know if I told any of you, I got chased down the side of the house by a bloody great big snake last year. I was walking in the front garden and I see something move. I thought, what's that? And all of a sudden this bloody snake, about 2 metres long, this snake, quite thick, suddenly came out of like the bushes out in the front of my garden, literally where I'm sitting, literally. Let me just check, he's not around now. where I'm sitting, came out, and started heading towards me. Well, I had the hose in my hand at the time. I'm shh, trying to, but it didn't do anything. It just started coming towards me. So Mimi was in the back garden doing some vegetable gardening. I literally shat my pants and ran down the side of the house saying, "Mimi, there's a snake chasing me," you know. And she looked and saw it coming, and then it suddenly veered left and went into next door's garden. But that scared the bloody shit out of me. Snakes, scared shitless. I'm scared badly of snakes. Didn't like that. But the other day, I step out the back door onto the step, just about to put my foot down, great big black scorpion. Big black scorpion. And I didn't know what to do, so I literally got the broom handle and crushed it. You know, you don't want them about. We got little children next door and stuff like that. And I don't like killing things, you know, like that, but you don't want scorpions about because they can really hurt you. I don't think these black ones can kill you, but they can. It's about the equivalent of about three bee stings in one go. So, but I've crushed it, and its whole back thing was going and you know. But it took some crushing. It took about 4 or 5 absolute before it actually, you know, stopped moving. But again, I came out of the house again a few days later, and there was a great big lizard in the same place. And in his mouth, he had a baby scorpion in his mouth. These little baby scorpions, like you know, going like that. And this little lizard's like walking along with this black scorpion in its mouth. Very tasty. I could, mind you, they do cook them here. If you go to the markets, they cook all the bugs, all crispy, and scorpions and things like that. And everyone I know has eaten them. I think even my dad has tried them, and I think he said they just taste like nuts. They're just nutty flavour. But it doesn't appeal to me, I must admit. But anyway, just on another quick note, I've got to go to hospital this week. Got a few man problems which need to be looked at, a little bit concerned about. So I've got that to do. So I'll keep you informed in all that and what's happening there. But just changing the subject completely now, entertainment. If anybody wants to see a good film that you wouldn't think of, see the film. If anybody's seen the Marigold Hotel film, well, there's a film out called Victoria and Abdul, and it's got to be by the same people. I'm sure it is, because it has the same feel about it. What a good film! Judi Dench, of course, plays Queen Victoria, as she does, but it's so funny. It's serious in parts, but it's so funny. Apparently, not long before the Queen died, she had an Indian servant who she became fairly close to, apparently, and they say that she had an affair with him. Whether she did or not, who knows? But it's this film about her and this Indian servant, but it's so funny. And there's just one of the very funny scenes in it. There's a big dinner going on. Obviously, the Queen is always served first, and then everybody else gets served after her. And in those days, it takes a long time to sort of, you know, if you've got sort of like 100 people sitting down at a table, or 70 or 80 people, it takes a bit of time. But the Queen always gets hers first. Well, apparently, Queen Victoria ate like a gannet, and she shoved the food in her face. And you see this in this film. She's shoving the food in her face. But the minute she stops eating, puts her knife and fork down, everyone else has to stop as well, and they get their plates taken away. So the Queen gets hers first, piling it into her mouth like there's no tomorrow, and then she puts her knife and fork down, and some of these people have literally just started like on their dinners, and they're sort of taking all their food, they're taking their plates away, and they go, "Oh, I hadn't even started," and it's so funny. And you see her with her dessert, and she's shoving this like cream dessert into her mouth, Queen Victoria, and she almost like burps, you know, like bleh, and puts her knife and fork down. It's so funny. Very good film. I really, really recommend it. Really, but you know, if you like the Marigold Hotel film, it's got the same feel to it as that, and I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't the same people that did it, to be honest with you. And just on another note, I read a book the other day. I'm not normally a great lover of Jeffrey Archer, I think this is quite an old book, but I've just read a book called Guilty by Birth by Jeffrey Archer. My God, it's got to be one of the best books, apart from mine, of course, but it's got to be one of the best books I've ever read. Oh, it's fantastic. Such a good read. Such a good read. So, Guilty by Birth by Jeffrey Archer. If you get the chance, read it. Bloody good book. I've had it for like 4 or 5 years in my bookshelf and just thought, oh, Jeffrey Archer. But then I read one of his. I sort of run out of a lot of books, so I read one of the old ones. Thought, oh, that was pretty good. I thought, oh, I'll read another one of his, which was this Guilty by Birth. Oh, just loved it. Couldn't put it down. It's a great big thick. It's about 600-700 pages, and I read it in 2 days. Enjoyed it so much, you know. Just made myself a cup of tea. Don't worry, I'm not going to spit this one all over the place. Thank you, Mark Mumford, sending me loads of tea bags. Lovely. When my friend Mark Mumford came to visit me a few months ago, he bought me 3 different types of tea bag. Because I said to him, tea over here is so expensive. For a box of 80 tea bags, like decent ones, you don't want that yellow label shit, because that just doesn't taste of anything, doesn't even change the colour of the water. But to buy a half decent thing of tea, you're talking about £7. I'm not paying that for tea. And I hadn't drunk a cup of tea for over a year because it's just too expensive, and I just refused to pay that. You know, I'm not going to pay £7 for a packet of tea bags. But Mark very kindly bought me a load of tea, and I've been drinking it 3-4 cups every day. But I've still got one whole pack of about 200 Yorkshire tea bags, which I'm savouring. Lovely. But he's coming over soon, so I might have to get him to bring a few more. Thank you, Mark. But that's really it at the moment. Very, very hot here at the moment. It's really, really hot. We've had a bit of rain as well. It's been like raining, and within 2 seconds of it raining, the blistering heat comes out again, and everywhere's dry. But it's nice, you know. But I hope. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. Things